Hey guys, my name is Grant Roberts. My road name is Iron Man, and I'll tell you why here shortly. I'm a proud member of the CMA through KC 963, the Kingdom Cruisers of Albion, Indiana. And as a member of CMA, I'm highly impacted by the kind of people that I meet and the different personalities, attitudes, and just their stories. And what I'd like to do is take a moment and over the next couple weeks give video testimonials, very short video testimonials of the different faces, the different personalities, and the stories of the members of the Kingdom Cruisers. I think you might be surprised. As a newer member of CMA, one of the things that I've learned is you can't always judge a book by its cover. And these video testimonials will allow you to do just that, to kind of look past the cover and to dig deep inside the book that is each one of us, because we all got a story to tell. So guys, let's do this. Let's get to the testimonial. I thought I'd introduce the video testimonials and kind of start this off. Guys, my name is Grant Roberts, as I said earlier, and I've been a member of the CMA for a very short time, but it's greatly impacted my life and my faith for that matter. And what I want to do is kind of talk to you about where I've come from, where I'm at, and where I'm going with CMA, how it's affected my life. And my story starts out in Ligonier, Indiana. Okay, it's just a stone's throw away from Albion, and honestly, I lived a pretty boring life for the most part. I grew up in a home that had Christian values. It really wasn't a Christian home. We didn't really go to church a whole lot, but my parents were great people. They were good people, and they raised us with a good sense of moral understanding. But on those rare occasions that we did go to church with my aunt or maybe my mom went, it was just tough for me. I grew up. My grandfather was a deacon. My uncle is kind of like a pastor. They have a different word for it, but it was really legalistic. And it's hard for me to say that because there's some amazing people in those churches. So no ill will towards those people in the church, but it was just hard for me, I guess is a better way of saying this. And by the time I was 19, I just hated church. I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't want to date anybody that was a churchgoer, so to speak, because I didn't want to be reminded of it. It'd been a kind of a sore spot in my life, and I started dating a girl that became my beautiful wife. Her name's Jamie. We have two beautiful and handsome kids, Courtney and Brady. And at the time, she'd gone to church her whole life, and she invited me to church. Now, that was a problem at the time. I'm like, you've ruined a good thing. I just didn't want to go to church, let alone listen to a preacher and be preached at and whatnot. Little did I know what was to come. But at the time, you look at a pretty lady and you don't want to disappoint her. And I said, okay, I'll go, but I'm not going to listen to a preacher. I'm going to go sit by you, okay? So I went, and it was as if that preacher was talking to me. And I was for sure that Jamie told the preacher, the pastor, my story, the things I struggled with or whatnot. And, I even approached him about it a couple times. And I said, oh, you can tell me, Jamie told you about some stuff, right? And he's like, he laughed. He goes, no. And I'm like, no, I'm sure she did. And he said, man, Gran, you're dealing with what we call conviction. You're feeling it for the first time. And it doesn't make sense to you right now, does it? And I said, no. So he talked to me about conviction, where it comes from, what it's like, and why we have it. And within a few weeks, I actually accepted Christ into my life. I didn't know church could be the way it was at that point. So I was really excited. Now, I wish I could tell you my church walk and my growth was astronomical and it was great, but that was 1998. It was about 21 years ago. But honestly, for the first 12 years, I would say, I didn't really know what it was like to be a Christian man. I was trying to study other guys in the church. I was trying to study other fathers, other husbands, the choices they make, the responsibilities and the priorities, just how they went about life. And unfortunately, we had switched churches at the time. I kind of got into a rut. I was kind of playing a part. At least that's how I felt I was doing, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I would go to church every week, and I knew the things I was struggling with. And it seemed like I was the only guy in the church that was struggling with stuff, because I would go into church and it was like everybody lived a happy, perfect life, and we all know that's not the case. And I was yearning and longing for people, men and women, to just be real, to just be transparent, to just be open, because I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought, man, I got this all screwed up and I just don't know what to do. Well, chance meeting at my work. I was a marketing director at the Auburn Court Duesenberg Museum in Auburn, Indiana. I had two guys wearing this patch walk in. Now, I'm a gearhead by nature, and I looked at the patches and I thought, I'm curious. Now, keep in mind, I don't ride a bike, okay? Still don't. I'll explain that here shortly. And I walked up to these guys and I was asking them about the patch, what it means, what it's like to be in the CMA. And within like 4 or 5 minutes, these guys are like telling me, the things they struggle with, and how it's helped them, and how long they've been in it, the things they do. And I'm just amazed. I'm thinking, these are the kind of guys I need to be around, because it was sharpening me in a great way. But since I didn't ride, I just put it on the back burner, and I thought, well, maybe one day if I start riding, maybe then I can join the CMA. I was looking at it purely from a bike standpoint. It doesn't make sense to join a motorcycle association without a motorcycle. That's the way I was looking at it. It was like common sense. So I went home that night and I talked to my wife, and I said, honey, I met these two guys, and it really blew my mind. They're really open, transparent. I really need that in my life, and I'm really hungering for that. And she just thought, wow, that's really cool. But I never really thought about it again. It was always in the back of my mind, though. Well, I got sick. At the age of 30, I had a virus attack my heart, and I came down with congestive heart failure. I was given a little time to live, and by the grace of God, changed things. That was about 11 years ago. Actually, it was about 12 years ago. Well, I went on about life. I was kind of in denial for about 4 or 5 years. And then I noticed my heart was starting to fail. It was starting to get worse and worse. And about 3 years ago, they told me I needed a heart transplant. Well, by the grace of God and through the help of another ministry called Fight Club, I was able to get 2 additional years out of my heart unassisted. Man, I was so thankful for those 2 years. I still am. But about a year and 1 month ago, my heart actually did start to completely fail. And what they had to do is they had to go into my chest and they had to put a pump on my heart. It's called an LVAD, a left ventricular assist device. And to put it in layman's terms, it's basically a pump that powers my heart that's connected to batteries that I keep in my pockets. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's a bit different. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. It's tough. It's tough at times, but God has taken care of me. He's brought me through this. And part of my story has to do with my LVAD. One of my Fight Club brothers, we call him Big Easy, Earl Hausman. He is the chaplain with the local CMA here in Albion, and he got a hold of me and he said, hey, Grant, I want you to come in and I want you to tell your testimony, your story, talk about Fight Club, and really pour into these guys and gals here in the CMA. And I thought, well, I could do that. And I went in and I told my story, not really thinking that I had a whole lot to offer. And I felt the tug, I felt the pull that I needed to be there. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't ride. How can God use me? And I talked to him and I said, Earl, what are the chances, and please, maybe this question's out of line, maybe it doesn't make any sense, but what are the chances a guy like me who doesn't ride can join a group like the CMA? I know it's a crazy question, and he just kind of laughed and goes, no, definitely. And I said, I don't know what I have to offer, or how I would fit in, or anything like that. And he goes, hey, we have a lot of young Christian men here. We need other guys to disciple them, to lead by example. And I thought, you know what? I can do that. That's something I can do. So I joined the CMA, and automatically it started to stretch me, and it got me realizing how every day people, they see a cut, they see a patch, and they don't really read it. They automatically get a little fearful. They make judgments, and I didn't recognize that until I threw this cut on. So it's helping me understand that you can't always judge a book by its cover. And it's also got me realizing just how often we as Christians make little judgments about people on the fly as we're going through a restaurant, or in the mall, or even at school at times. You may see someone, you may think, ooh, yeah, I better stay away from that person, or I don't know what that person and I would have in common, so I'll just sit here and mind my own business. When in reality, that person might be the person that God's putting in front of you for a reason. You need to talk to him. And I never thought that I'd be able to walk up to somebody riding a bike and use something like this as a ministry tool by saying, hey, can I bless your bike? And now I'm doing that. I'm going up to complete strangers. I'm asking to bless their bikes. I'm going up to 1%ers, and I'm doing the same thing. And if you told me a year ago that I would be in a motorcycle association going up to 1%ers or just strangers and praying with them, I would have laughed. You know, I had no way of relating. I didn't think I was equipped to do those kind of things. But I'm learning through the CMA that we're all in need of a greater power, and that we're all in need of Jesus, and we all have the same wants, needs, and desires. And in order to fight for one another, to help one another, we have to get to know one another. And that's been the greatest impact of me through CMA. It's really touched me. It's allowed me to see that there's other guys out there, just like in Fight Club, there's other guys out there that want to fight by my side, that want to pray for me, that, sometimes, I do a lot of leading in Fight Club, but sometimes we need to be led too, and CMA allows me to be led at times. But, it also allows me to take a look at my disability, my weakness, and it's another avenue where that weakness can become a strength and can give glory to God. Well, guys, that's my testimony for this week. We'll have a new testimony coming up next week from another member. Just know that we love you, Jesus loves you, and we want to see you in heaven one day. And as the CMA says, we're here if you need us. God bless.